My brain is like, damn, girl, you just broke it?
Oops.
Oops.
I did it again. Hey, y'all.
Oh my, I feel like every time, and like the people don't get this
I got to bring the energy.
because it like, we have the, you know, it like levels everything out. But every time this girl says, hey, y'all, she is so loud in my ears. I was over here ready to be like, howdy, y'all. And then I went deaf for a second.
Lo siento. That
But-
means I'm sorry.
In Spanish.
Shout out Selena.
Any other Spanish terms you want to throw down right now?
No.
Kaylee
Oh, here
with
we
her
go.
Spanish. It is great. It's great.
I took it from 7th grade through college, and
This girl does not conjugate verbs, nothing.
I try, y'all. I try. I
To
do my best.
trabajar. Oh, Lord.
Lord.
How you doing?
I'm done. Busy day.
Mhm.
How about you?
Girl, you
Matt's
know.
mad at me.
Am I?
I was running late.
I mean, I was kind of, it was weird because normally on days when we record, you like call me because
Mhm.
I told you yesterday I might run
Run late.
late at work, but I mean, I did run late. I got back home late, but I was here in time. And then I was like, she didn't call me at all. This is weird.
And I've been on time. Like,
You've been on Kaylee time.
no, for filming, recording, I've been on time for the past couple weeks. If it's 5 minutes past, it doesn't really count.
Okay, Kaylee. Kaylee time, y'all.
You
Kaylee time.
round down.
No. Oi. But yeah, I'm busy. You know, just working.
Mm-hmm.
Working 9 to 5, 10 to 6,
It's-
11 to 11.
Right. It's the time right now in this industry. This is like
It's rough.
oof.
I had someone email me about an event over a year away with a ton of questions. And I was like, and they wanted a phone call. And I was like, I hear you.
Email me in December.
Can I follow up with you in a month? Like,
How urgent.
like if you feel free to send your questions because I'll get to them
Mm-hmm.
at 9:00 at night. But in terms of a phone call, it's hard to squeeze people in these days.
I'm going to answer one question a week. Get back to you.
Because a lot of it is like, especially for my stuff, it's like they're asking all these questions, but in a few short weeks, they're going to get a ton of information
Mm-hmm.
that's going to answer all these questions. I just haven't gotten the information to you yet because it's too early.
Right. And there are those types of emails where you're like, oof, these questions I can answer, but it's not a quick, like,
Mhm.
response. It's
Yeah.
not just like a 1-word, 2-word answer. It's
Yeah.
like, this is going to have to make me move into a different mindset
Yeah.
and like take the time to answer these. And the last thing you ever want to do, not just in this industry in general, is answer an email like not thoroughly
Mhm.
and then lead them possibly down a rabbit hole or like lead them to assuming that means something else.
Yeah.
Like you have to,
Yeah.
make sure your paper trail is.
Just give me a couple more weeks, y'all. You get my
Mhm.
full attention.
You're going to hear a different tone from us in
I
November.
know.
We're going to
I'm
be
gonna
all
be like-
perky.
Happy. I'm going to be pleasant.
I'll bring up the word pleasant.
I ain't never gonna,
Pleasant is blacklisted from this
I'm
podcast.
never going to stop bringing it up, girl.
I know.
On the topic of our industry, though,
What?
we have to talk
Mm.
about this makeup artist on TikTok.
Oh my goodness.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. I also saw the videos like right after she posted them. Like I was early.
Okay.
So when I first started watching them, like I'm thinking I'm just watching like a wedding oriented video, which like
Mhm.
my TikTok is filled with a lot of like wedding related
Yeah.
shit. So I'm watching this before people start reposting, retagging,
Mhm.
putting their own narrative. Like before, the comment section was still
Oh, I
fire.
love the comment section.
But I'm gonna let you explain the video before I chime into it because
Okay.
I think you could do a better job.
So there is this makeup artist. I don't remember the name of the company. Even if I did, I wasn't going to throw it out there.
Mhm.
You guys can look it up. So there's this makeup artist, and the idea is like she goes to do wedding makeup for clients, but she like stays through the events, which is
Well,
odd.
this event, we can't say for sure other events, or can we?
Yes, because other people had posted like photo. Remember the
Oh.
one photo that wasn't the wedding that she was posting
Well,
about.
I knew that, but okay.
So
continue.
but she says it in her 3-part video thing, which were very long, by the way.
Mhm.
That she does this, like she'll go and like help and see like, oh, do you need help with your first look and like that type
and like
of stuff.
content, she tries
She
to
tries
play
to
herself
make-
off as also like a content creator for weddings.
Yes.
Which is a trend that is picking up strongly
Mhm.
over the past 2 years, but I think more so this year. Like there are weddings where couples are literally hiring
Content creators.
content creators to help
But legit.
them. Yeah,
content
legit,
creators.
not just,
Yeah.
you know.
So basically, she has this wedding, and like 2 days beforehand, apparently her boyfriend breaks up with her. So she
Mhm.
wasn't in the right mindset, whatever. But so
She powered through.
she powered through. So she goes to the wedding, does the makeup, and she's like doing everyone's makeup, doing all these TikTok videos, and like showing all of this stuff off. And then she goes to the venue with the bridal party, which that I was at first like, oh, I don't understand this. But then it was like she was doing touch-ups. So I was like, okay,
Right.
I get that.
Which for makeup artists and some hairdressers, hair artists, you can book them just for people who, you know,
Mhm.
wedding world. You can book them to extend your time. So like after, let's say you're doing a first look or you're doing photos with your bridal party, makeup artists can be contracted to stay to do touch-ups before your ceremony.
Yeah. So she is there and like does her touch-ups, whatever. And like she's like very active with the bridal party. And then she's like showing videos of like they're doing a bridal part, like the bridesmaids are seeing the bride for the first time with her dress on. And it's like you see the setup because the makeup artist is filming everything and then posting it on her TikTok. But it's like you see the bride and then you see the photographer and videographer over by the bride, and then you see the bridesmaids. And the makeup artist is like in the group with the bridesmaids.
Like in the line of shot for the photographer
Yes.
and videographer.
So she's there, she's helping them, she's like acting as security to stop people from coming into the first look. She then apparently there's this, I don't know, fiance anthem or something that she was trying to make this TikTok. I'd never heard of it. I still don't know what it is.
Mhm.
But so then she finally meets the groom who she'd never met before, and he's not like into all of that. He's not into the TikTok thing. Like,
Which the bride let the makeup artist know ahead of time.
Yes.
So the makeup artist did tell the bride ahead of time, like, are you okay if we do a couple like TikTok trends under the umbrella of not her being a content creator,
Mhm.
of her being the makeup artist? Like,
yes.
while I do your makeup and stuff, are you guys okay if we do a couple TikTok trends?
Yeah.
And the bride said yes. I don't think the bride understood the volume of TikTok trends
Mhm.
and those types of videos she wanted to do. But the bride did preface it with the groom is not big on that stuff,
Yeah.
which the makeup artist acknowledged
hmm
in her 3-part series that, like, this is not the groom's thing, which I could not understand more.
Yeah. So I guess for the one part, the groom was fine with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So then she's there, whatever. And like now they're like starting the event. But the makeup artist is still there. Like, and she's saying that the bride and the bridesmaid and the mother of the bride, like everybody's telling her like, oh, stay for the event, stay for the event, stay for the event. Which, like, granted, I'm sure that happens a lot with vendors, but like, yeah, we'll deep dive into this.
Yeah.
So then something happens where, like, I don't know, they have the ceremony or something, and then the makeup artist is all up in everything, and she goes to the couple to finish the TikTok video trend she was trying to do, and the groom basically, like, in her words, yells at her, "No, we're done with this effing bull," like. And so now the makeup artist is like, I don't know what happened. I didn't do anything to him all day. Nobody had a problem. I didn't do anything to anybody.
Basically makes the bride then have to console her.
Yeah. Yes. So the bride now is consoling this makeup artist
on her wedding
day. More to the story. So she's like, I took a break, I left, and then I came back. And I went into cocktail hour to get a drink and some food. And it's like, basically goes on and on about this. Eventually, one of the planners or the planner's assistant comes up to her and is like, the couple is asking for you to leave. And so now she's like, I don't understand. We were having a good time all day. Like, I didn't do anything to anyone. And that's all she kept saying is like, I didn't do anything to anyone. And it's like, you don't need to you maliciously do something to be unwelcomed and like a nuisance. So then she makes this whole 3-part series where she is like talking about all this, explaining it all, but it's all very much focused on her and her perspective and how she was feeling and how she felt she was wronged. And then just going to jump ahead into this real quick so it's all out there. She posts an apology video.
Quote
unquote apology video. And she apologizes to the couple, to the bridal party, to the vendors in the first, I don't know, minute of this video.
Mm-hmm.
And then just goes on and on about, again, herself and how she feels.
How it affected her.
How it all affected her. And like this whole thing. It's so insane. You have to look it up. Just look up like makeup artist on TikTok. It'll come up.
Like TikTok wedding artist drama or something like that.
So it's just so insane. It's so insane. And the whole time, my head, I know your head was doing it too. I was just going through everything. Like, are you okay? This was an opportunity to stop right here. This is like, it's so crazy. What are your thoughts?
Okay, I have so many thoughts. So first and foremost, she posted the series with the understanding, because she posted after the wedding,
mm-hmm.
that the bride and groom were not happy at the end of the day with what transpired.
Mm-hmm.
But she proceeded to post all of the video content she had. I understand being a vendor at a wedding and having pre-approval to post behind the scenes content from a wedding. But I think with the way things ended, I do not feel like it was in the best taste to post all of the videos featuring the bridegroom and the bridal party and the images of the reception and the ceremony. Knowing how it ended, I feel like that should have gotten some pre-approval because she posted everything.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Did she post the content that she took outside of the 3-part video, or it was just the stuff in the 3-part video?
It was stuff in the 3-part video.
Okay, so then this is even doubly wrong. Keep going.
So I just feel like that because she was posting like the behind the scenes of making these like TikTok trend videos, but it was showing the bride, the groom, the bridal party, the florals, the reception, all of this. I think, again, vendors have contracts that you're allowed to do that. So I'm not saying posting things before the final photos and videos are out there are wrong, because vendors are permitted to do that. But I think doing it knowing that it ended poorly is not in good taste. And 2, just some of the videos, like from the way she explained it, she was asking if like we could do a couple trends and like a couple content creation type videos. the magnitude of videos she was getting of everyone, even if I agreed to that, I would have been pissed. It seemed like a ton. It seemed like a lot of involvement. I'm, 2+ years post marriage, got married a little over 2 years ago. I could not fathom on my wedding day someone pulling me that much for TikTok content or social media content. One, especially because I didn't hire you for that. But two, even if I agreed to a couple, it felt very nuisance uncomfortable to me. And then three, the vendor interruption involvement would have drove me crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like a videographer and photographer, they're mapping out the lighting, the perfect timing, the perfect location. You should blend into the background if you're there to, one, take content, two, as a planner or planner assistant, you assist the bride and groom with whatever is needed, holding bouquet, giving water. She was in it.
Mm-hmm.
She was in it where like that would have caused, I think of all like the timeline logistic issues that could cause. I think of the additional stress that puts on the vendors. I felt like it was very self-serving of what she was doing. She was trying to boost her own social.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, maybe she wanted to also send the couple some good videos, but my takeaway from it was from the second she had the plan in her head of what she wanted to do, it was self-serving, to then the part of the issue with the groom and having to leave, her videos posting all of that was self-serving. She wanted sympathy. The apology video was not an apology.
Mm-hmm.
It was basically the 3-part series making excuses condensed to reiterating that she did nothing wrong. We're like, don't post anything.
Well, that's what my thought process
Email
through
the
all
bride
of
and
this.
groom saying, I'm sorry there was either a miscommunication, a disconnect. If I overstepped the last thing I wanted to do, I'm so sorry about that. I still have this beautiful content that I created from your wedding. Are you okay with me posting it and tagging you?
But the thing with this is, and this is where she fucked herself, because you took all this content and then you knew that the day went sour.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of just being like, okay, that one,
let's write it off.
Like whatever. No, you then took all of that content to then just make this story about how you were wronged somehow.
Because she thought everyone would agree with her.
But and this is the thing, you wouldn't need to make a 4th apology video because you got yourself into this mess. You could have just it's ballsy to, I'm going to take all this content and then I'm not going to use it the way that I intended originally to use it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to use it to now explain how you and all these people who are featured in this video
mm-hmm.
have quote unquote wronged me.
Well, you make a good point because one, she again posted the series after the wedding.
Mm-hmm.
So she knew the bride and groom were upset. So the reason she posted the apology video was not because she knew the bride and groom were upset, because she already knew that.
Yeah.
It was because the comments on the videos were validating the bride and groom's feelings.
Yeah.
And there's comments on there from the bridal party members like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, you made it uncomfortable. Like, we made it clear that we didn't want to do all of this. Like, it is very clear that she overstepped boundaries, and it was not just what the groom told her, and it was not just the bride and groom telling her to leave that showcased or that proved that she was already doing that. It seems like throughout her actions throughout the day, that was being explained.
Yes. And it's like, it's insane. It's just insane to me. And then the bride ended up commenting.
Oh yeah, I couldn't remember
the thing. So hold on real quick. We're going to pause because I'm going to find the comments so that I can read them to you.
So while Matt finds the comment, I am going to add a little bit more 2 cents. I'm also not a social media person. Like, involving me in TikTok trends and taking social coverage, it's just not me. I'm just not that type of person. Like, totally appreciate people who are like that. Like, that's your own right. but I could not fathom having someone like that on my wedding day. And a lot of content creators out there that are hired for weddings, they're hired to take content of like behind the scenes, like not like your videographer, because your videographer is creating a piece of art and creating a piece of work. It's more of like the candid videos of your wedding day, but it's not super social media trend oriented. Maybe trickled in there, but not that much so. But that's all she was really doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was just trying to create these like trends. I don't know.
Oh, okay, I got it.
Okay.
So these were the comments that the bride had posted, or I'll say allegedly the bride, because I don't know for sure, but that she commented on the apology video. So it was 1, I understand you're sorry for your behavior on the day. I forgave you on the day. It wasn't until all of this that I had any animosity towards you. 2, saying you apologize on a public forum and then giving a monologue about your business is not an apology. You have my number. 3, you've made several videos already. We know your point of view. It's enough. Could you imagine? Like, this is all this girl is going to remember from her wedding day.
I know, that's the fucked up thing too, is like now you are tarnishing the wedding day with all of this.
Yeah.
Like, this is like, remember that big thing that happened at your wedding?
Yeah.
Like, you're making that the big nuisance thing. And also, I was just reading, the bride and groom are not on social media.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, the TikTok the TikTok that commented,
yeah,
didn't have a profile photo. Like,
no.
Yeah. This is the thing that I think it kind of draws the line for me with whether I think you're a good vendor or not.
Mm-hmm.
As somebody who works weddings for my job, like that's my life.
Yeah.
The day is not about me.
Yep.
I do not, like, you don't even need to thank me. We can have that conversation over email, in the phone, whatever. Like, the vendors for me who I'm like, okay, you're good, are the ones who do not try to make anything about themselves.
They blend in the background,
Mm-hmm.
but perform the duties that they were contracted for.
Yes.
And we all want to go above and beyond. So don't get me wrong with like, what she was doing, in my opinion, was not trying to go above and beyond. It was purely about making it about herself.
Yes.
There's a difference between trying to like, oh, I want to do this, this, and this for you. But if you want to do extra things, it's with the assumption that you're doing it for the better of the bride and groom.
Yes.
It's not doing it self-serving.
Yes.
As a vendor, we need to, I say, like, blend in the background, not meaning that you can't be present or you can't have a personality. You can obviously talk to the bride and groom, but I mean, you're not doing anything to like make a statement that's taking away
Mm-hmm.
from the experience. And you and I just talked about this the other night, and maybe it was last night, where there are weddings, because again, Matt and I work in the wedding industry and have for a very long time. There are weddings where I'm going to leave for the day and I see the bride and groom on the dance floor. And this is back when I worked at a venue, where I would leave just before the end of the night. And of course, I want to say goodbye to the bride and groom because I've worked with them for over a year and I have a great rapport with them. But I see them on the dance floor having a blast. I'm not going to go march on the dance floor, pull them away from having fun and say, I'm leaving. Now it's your time to thank me and give me a hug. Like, no, I'm going to leave gracefully. I'm going to let them do their thing on their one big day. And then I'm going to send them a text or an email or give them a call the day or days following, reiterating my appreciation for them. I'm not going to. There are times where, now that I've transitioned from running a venue to being planner, coordinator, dash assistant, where I have to go and talk to the client, of course, and pull them aside. But it's not for the attention or for the...
It's not for your validation.
It's not for my validation. It's not self-serving. It's not anything to do with me. It's everything to do with them.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's like, a lot of times I end up having to do things that like are not necessarily my job.
Mhm.
So like
Totally.
easy scenario. I let like a planner run the timeline up to we're here to actually like do the ceremony, do dinner,
Food
that stuff.
service, execution.
But when it comes time, especially in a rain plan scenario, I'm there to do whatever you need me to do. Do you need me to move all of the florals from one location to another? Cool, I'll do it for you. Do you need me to go? How many times have I driven a bride to her ceremony? I don't do that for me. I don't want people looking at me like, leave me out of this. But it's like, those are the moments where you're going above and beyond.
Like your job descriptions, like the lines are blurred
Yeah.
for the result of helping the execution of the day of
Yes.
and the bride and groom.
To ease the pressure on the bride and groom.
And as vendors, we all help each other.
Mhm.
We're not like, again, a big pet peeve of mine with this video and with this series is like, I think back to even the videographer and photographer of like, just with the first look
Yeah.
and the first look with the bridesmaids. And then I think to like, okay, she's going to cocktail hour and she's getting drinks and food. Is that going to result in the couple getting an invoice after for
Yeah.
one more person drinking and
Mhm.
eating? Like that's
Well, and also my thought process too about this, what like this was the first question that popped in my mind. Okay, so you go to the event, you do the makeup, and then you go to the event. You bring a change of clothes. Like, what are you wearing to the event? Because that for me would be the one where I'm like, oh no, that's who I'm going up to right now and asking them, what the hell are you doing here?
totally.
Because
Totally.
you're at a place right now. Like that was the first thing I thought of. Like, did she bring a dress? Because that's already an issue for me. If you thought, oh, let me bring a dress to change into,
Right.
that's a problem.
Right. It was premeditated.
And then you do it, problem. Everything here is just
Right.
like, girl, listen, you were hired for a job that day. You did your job. That is the end of it. It is time to go home.
And you don't bring in, because correct me if I'm wrong, I might be mixing up stories. Didn't she tell the bride about her breakup and like when
Yes.
the bride was consoling her, she was telling
And the
her,
mother
like,
of the bride.
like yeah, she was telling her like all about like her life issues, life stories. Red fucking flag.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you're there to work. You're there as a vendor, as a team member. You are not there to add a cloud
Yeah.
to the bride and groom's day to say, or, you know, the couples, whoever's day it is, you're not there to say, by the way, woe is me.
Yeah. It's so crazy. And like, honestly, for the girl, count this is a loss. This is a big L. Like, first off, what you thought you were doing with making these TikToks, that backfired, girl.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like, how does that affect your business?
Right.
Because she talked a lot about how like she doesn't feel like there's a lot of businesses with like that are owned by people of color that are in the wedding industry and like that. And it's like, okay, I get that. I understand what you're saying. I get your like your dedication and your push and your drive to do this, but like you just fucked yourself doing all this. Like,
right.
I don't know. And it's so crazy to me how she's so, or was, maybe now she is, but how she was so unaware of herself.
Yep.
Like, you fucked up day of. You could have left it at that. No, you made TikToks. You fucked up on that. So you made an apology. Like, girl.
I know.
Some self-awareness. Do you need I will recommend some books for you, girl. Glennon Doyle, Brene Brown. I will send you the books. Like, it's so crazy.
I know.
I can't. I
know.
can't.
So I want to ask you a question based on this. If you can identify one major pet peeve when it comes to vendors at weddings, based on your, extensive experience, what would it be? One.
I'm going to say this one, but it might change. I really hate when vendors assume, and this is because of my position in this industry, when vendors assume that the venue is responsible for everything that they need.
Okay, elaborate.
So, if you are if you're doing a lighting install, I'm not supplying you a ladder. You
Ooh.
know that you need the ladder to do the install, bring the ladder.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a florist, don't come in and assume that every single space is available for you
Mhm.
to throw your stuff on.
Mm-hmm.
Bring a work table.
Yeah.
Bring a work table.
Mm-hmm.
Also, like, it's not my responsibility at the end, and this could be controversial, at the end of the event to dispose of all of your florals, your vases, all that. Listen, that's not like, you come get that. You come get that.
Mm-hmm.
This is a big one, which honestly always somehow ends up being the venue's fault, which this isn't shade to any, planner or anything who's listening, or a couple. But like when a band is like, oh, where's our case of water?
I knew you were-
If you listen, you know
Don't get me started with the case of water.
that you're going to need water. Why do you need to have somebody else bring that case of water? This is my theory across the board on a lot of shit. If you need it and you are like, oh no, it's your responsibility because I'm not doing it. No. Listen, you know that every performance you go to, you need a case of water. Then you know what? Add that $5.99 onto the invoice. Build that into your pricing.
Bill for it.
Like, come on.
I know.
Like when people give a hard time about having to provide a COI, oh, it's going to cost me an extra $100. Okay, then listen, first off, I don't know a venue that is not going to require you to provide a COI. So build the price of that into your pricing.
Mm-hmm.
Make smart business decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's what I could go off. I'm not going to, because I would like to still have friends at the end of this. But that's a big one for me.
That's a good one.
If you are providing it's like if I was being hired as the caterer, I'm not going to expect you to, as the client, to bring me all of my plates and all of my silverware.
Yep.
Of course, you could rent these items, but it's like, I'm not asking you to bring me the salt and pepper to put on the table.
Yep.
It's those things where it's like, oh, these are things I need. This is a big one too. Do you have pitchers that we could fill with water to put water in all the vases? Girl, I got water. There's sinks. You don't have a pitcher? Oh, and now you don't want to walk the vases to the sink to fill them up? Girl, you got to stop me because I'm going to go.
I agree with every point.
Sorry, I had to stop talking just to not incriminate myself. What's yours, girl? What's yours?
Mine, this will always be mine. Number one, vendors who assume that they should be able to drink at a wedding.
And eat first.
But drinking, huge pet peeve of mine. Nails on the chalkboard type pet peeve. And I'm sorry, it's mostly bands that I've had a band in the past at my old job that said it was in their contract that they are allowed to order drinks at the bar. And I said, well, my contract with the client says vendors are not permitted to drink. You're not allowed to drink. I'm sorry. This is a job. You are, one, not permitted to drink because it's a job. It's a safety hazard. And I'm sorry, if you worked a 9 to 5 at 1 p.m., are you going to be like, okay, it's martini hour. Like, bring them on over. No. And two, the client is spending so much fucking money. And you think you should just be able to go up to the bar and get a beer, get a whiskey, get a glass of wine, and continue to perform. And this is also a huge fucking pet peeve of mine because I've seen vendors wasted. I've had to blacklist a vendor in the past because the 2 weddings I did with them, they got hammered and it was a fucking issue. I have no tolerance for it. You're working a job. Drink when you get home. Like if it's so big for you that you need a fucking drink during an event that you're working, you got to get help. Like, I don't know what else to say, but like Kaylee loves a good cocktail here and there.
A cocktail?
A cocktail. But The last thing I want is a fucking cocktail in the middle of a wedding while I'm running around working.
So I agree with you for the most part.
There can be exceptions. And before you go, I'm going to bring up an exception.
Okay.
So an exception of mine is if the couple really wants, like, can we just toast really quick? Can we have like a glass of champagne? Have a sip of my specialty cocktail? That's one thing. That's usually with like a planner assistant. Like, we've worked together for over a year. Just cheers me quick. Like, okay, have a sip, maybe have one, pause it at that. 2, if it's breakdown, if it's the end of the event and the band or whatever vendor is left there is breaking down, like, can I have a beer while I break down? Sure. Here's a beer, whatever. The whole thing is like, there have been vendors that I've worked with in prior years, hasn't happened this year, but in prior years, that I have gotten the intention and the vibe that they're not just looking for that drink. They're looking for a couple. Like it feels like they think they're a guest who's performing.
Yes. Well, and this goes like also a lot of times with people in cocktail hour, because I fucking hate when I see a vendor online
to get fucking food.
Yeah. But in terms of the drinks, like I can so in terms with the band, if that's in your contract, cool. Then you know what? You're getting charged the same rate as the regular guests. If that is the case, when a different venue I worked with, we used to go hard on stopping the people at the bar because we're like, because vendors also are a different rate. Like they're getting a much cheaper rate, which is
just
essentially just for food.
And just like
dinner food.
Not your cocktail hour, your plate.
So we would have couples who would be like, oh, but like what, why can't they? And we're like, listen, you want them to be able to? Cool. But they're then going to get charged the full base rate that you have here.
Which I get your point with that. But my thing is, I also want to protect the couple. And because I have had a father of the bride ask me that in the past with their band. Like they said, can they go up to the bar? It wasn't in their contract. It wasn't in the band's contract that it was required. But he's like, the band approached me, asked me this, can they do this? And I said, listen, we have a 0 tolerance policy. And the reason why, even if you're willing to pay for it, the reason why is you can't control how much they're drinking. And when it comes to my bartenders, sometimes band members are dressed like they could be a guest. So we can't always filter out if they're a guest, if they're a band member. So what happens if they overdrink and then they're performing? I don't want you to have a sloppy band. I don't want then like your music to be fucked up. And that's like a 2% chance. I do, again, I fully entrust vendors. I have so much respect for them. I'm talking about like the rare occasion of this happening. But if I can prevent a rare occasion, I want to. Because then I think of like, how are they getting here? Are they driving? Like there's just so much that goes into my head with that. And I don't know.
I think the drinking on a vendor end doesn't bother me in the same way that it bothers you. Like, I think to the degree that it bothers you, because like, I'm okay if it's like, oh, the photographer is having a drink. Yeah. Like, they're going to be leaving in 30 minutes. Right. They have a drink.
Right.
When even the band, like, fine, you want one drink. Cool. But it's like, I don't believe that you should be excessively drinking like that. That I'm like, nah, no. Like, because like we've had planners drunk. And it's like, okay, but you're like, this function, I need you to still be on top of your game. Right. So it's like, if we rolled up in cocktail hour and I saw vendors drinking, I'd be like, yeah, what are you doing right now?
Yeah.
I guess it's more of like, okay, the big stuff for you is done. You're a photographer or videographer who you're leaving or something, and you get like a shift drink. You get a drink from the bar. Fine. That for me, I'm fine.
That's where I was saying like the breakdown end of night. Yeah. Like I can understand that. I think I've also been scorned Is that the appropriate?
Scorned?
Yeah. A couple times with, it's actually been band and photographer only, where I've seen it escalated.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got like a little bit more like harsh with it because people took advantage, people got overly intoxicated. And the venue I used to work at, the reception space was outside under a tent, but we did have an inside space that cocktail hour was held.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a bar there. And this one band in particular, they were told they could not drink because they were trying to go out to the bars where the reception space was. And then when I was serving vendor meal, come to find out, all of them were behind the bar inside pouring themselves drinks.
See, that for me, I would lose it.
Yeah.
This is the other thing, though. If it's like, okay, say I like talked to the couple and they were like, oh, yeah, they can have a drink. But it's like, if I was a vendor and I went to the bar to get a drink and the bar told me no, that's the end.
Done.
There is no like, okay, cool. I'm not going to sit here and be like pissy about it because you won't serve me a drink.
Well, I used to also have a problem with, there was a team member of mine that would work a lot of weddings, and every wedding they'd be like, so the band asked me, can they drink? And I'm like, it's the same answer every wedding. No. Okay, well, I gave them a round. And I'm like, well, see, now this is like an awkward,
yeah.
Because it's an awkward scenario. Because then I have to go up to the band. Because, like, even though this happens a lot, even though it's in the client contract that they can't drink, not all vendors receive those contracts or see the other contracts. So I do, when a vendor asks me or it's approached if they can drink, I don't immediately go into like, what the fuck? Why are you asking? No, it's in our contract. Like, I go into it with grace because I am understanding, like, okay, they probably didn't see our contract. They don't know. Let me just reiterate our policies. But to have to do that after they've then been served a drink and been told it's okay, it then becomes an uncomfortable scenario. So, like, it's not always on the vendor's end. I get it. It's like there are ways to rectify it. But again, it boils down to me being like, you're working.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay to ask. I won't get mad at you for asking. But when I or my team member says no, and then you're mad, that's when then I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah. That is like, it's one of those things. Know what you're here for. People know what you're here for.
And you bring up cocktail hour food. Again, another pet peeve of mine is when I see vendors in line. Let's say they have like a grazing table, like a cocktail hour station, and they're in line to get food. And I see that there are guests behind them in line. I'm like, really?
Yeah. Like, wait till no one is online.
Wait till no one's online. Wait till cocktail hour is over because the food is usually out for a few more minutes. One, you're not paying for it, nor is the client paying for you to have cocktail hour food. Two, you're taking a spot that a guest could be in. And three, let's just talk about manners.
Yeah.
Read the room.
That's like, this also happens sometimes when there's buffets and the vendors will go get online and eat before everybody else is eaten. I'm like, it just, yeah. And there are specific vendors that do these types of things where it's it's very similar to the way that Makeup Artist was, where it's like, oh, I'm also here to like enjoy myself. Those are the ones for me where I'm like,
I want you to have a good work experience, but this is not like, you're not coming here for a form of pleasure.
Yes. And at this point, like and I'm going to go back with bands because this is what we've been talking about. There's a difference in you being a band that is playing at a venue, like a concert or something like that, and you being a vendor playing at a wedding. It is different. The wedding guests are not here because they want to see you perform. You're
not the star, the couple is.
Yes.
Like when you're if you're at Madison Square Garden, you're the star of the show. But when you're playing at a wedding, you're playing for the guests and the couple. The couple is the star of the show.
Yeah.
And the guests.
I don't even know. I don't know. Like, are you just trying to get the full, like, live your best life and you don't care what I just don't understand it. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Because like then there's like I go to a wedding. I work in this industry. I am so goddamn scared to overstep any line as a
Same.
guest of the wedding.
Same.
Like, oh, do you need help? Do you need
Yeah.
like it's just crazy to me. I don't know. Yeah. And then one last thing, because I'm gonna call it out.
Call it out.
And you know, this is like you are on one side of the line or the other. If I know that I am going to be working a wedding or an event, and you know, there's going to be food at this event, and I know that I'm supposed to eat, I'm not going to pester and bug about when I'm getting my food, especially before
the guest
the guests have eaten. Bring a fucking granola bar. Bring a Pop-Tart. Bring a bag of pop. I don't know. Plan your day out. Plan your day out.
Especially when a vendor or team member, whatever, comes up to you. You're going to be there for 12 plus hours. So you're on like hour 6, 7, 8 at this point. They come up to you. They've been there for 2 hours.
Mhm.
Like, where's my food?
Yeah.
I want to be like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
First and foremost, the food that we're preparing is for the client.
Yeah.
It's for the wedding guest. I'm going to serve the wedding guest because I also want to account for what if they want refills, which
Mhm.
like where you work, where I used to work, like we feed them a lot. But there are times where people are like, can I have more short rib? Can I have more of this?
Mhm.
Like, and I always want to account for that. So I don't want to serve vendors first because I want to make sure the clients get everything and anything they want. Not meaning that we're going to run out of food for the vendors, but it might limit the selection where they're not getting 7 options to choose from. They're getting 5.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like, say I have a bowl of chicken.
Mhm.
It's family style. Okay. A server drops a bowl.
Exactly.
Oh my God, the bowl that I just had as backup is now being served, was already served to the vendors.
Yep.
No, I have to serve them because quite honestly, at the end of the day, the vendor meal, like for the most part, you're eating everything that the guests are eating.
Oh, yeah.
Which for, you know, the place I work at is really good.
Amazing.
But like, say that's not the case, then it's like, okay, what are we going to do? Like, do we need to pull some food from the after party that we
Yeah.
have extra of
Extra
that we're going to
hors
prep for you right now?
d'oeuvres.
Like, it's just like
You're still going to get you're still going to get
fed.
fed with an abundance amount of food, but you may just have to pull from, you may have to cook up some of the hors d'oeuvres that you didn't
Mhm.
send out. You may have to cook, like your point, after party, add some more broccoli than you were going to put out. Like it's not about taking away the abundance. It's more of like, okay, the guests were really into the chicken, so I have to supplement.
Mhm.
And correct me if I'm wrong, this was my experience with my venue. We're charging vendors not charging vendors, we're charging the client for the vendor meals half price.
Oh, in terms of it's like, it's less than half.
But just for
like,
the reception meal.
Yes.
It's not half of like cocktail hour, reception, dessert, bar. It's like you're paying $30 a vendor and we're giving you an abundance amount of food. But again, the reason the food is there to begin with is because we have to serve the clients first.
Yeah. And like, the thing is, especially, I could understand if it was like, oh, I'm going to serve all the guests and then I'll serve you guys 30 minutes later. Like for us, it's like
immediate.
The vendors are considered a run in our breakdown. So it's like, we're going to run the food to all the guests and then we're going to immediately run the food to the location that the vendors are going to eat.
It's like if you have 12 tables, the vendor's the 13th table.
Yep.
And I understand timeline. So I have seen with bands in the past, like, why this could be a issue because of breaks and speeches and things like that. But you're sent the timeline in advance to understand that,
Mm-hmm.
to know when vendor meals are served. So if there is an issue, you have to address that before. You can't, because I once had a band, and the lead sound person, this was last year, they had the timeline. They knew when vendor meals were served. They screamed at me that they were not served ahead of the guests, and I explained to them, this isn't the timeline, this is our reason, blah, blah, blah. Same reasons we just discussed. They were like, well, this completely throws off like our timing and whatnot. And I was like, but when did you receive the timeline knowing this? Couldn't respond.
Oh yeah, no, they never. They won't.
So
yeah, that's my my 2 cents. Listen, I do love what I do. I love
love it.
if you're listen. I know some vendors that we work with listen to this. Love you to death, and you know who you are.
1000%. And this is talking about like,
these are the extremes.
Yeah, we're talking about like, this is not a regular basis. This is a small amount. This is like, this is, again, this is the extreme.
So yeah, it's just, sometimes.
And if you agree.
Yeah, if you agree.
Send us in your stories.
Yeah. You could tell the crazy vendors. Give me a call.
So that is our wedding industry trial and errors and
listen, y'all. I think we had a lot of other stuff we could talk about. But
that was the tip of the iceberg.
We're thorough. So we'll talk about this again because there's more stuff.
And if you like this content, let us know. Like, we have a history of so much more we could talk about.
Yeah, I could tell you stories. Oof. Also, listen, if you are a vendor and you have stuff, please write in, email us, DM us, because we will read them, because I love it. I want to know.
Love it.
It could be anonymous. You don't need to tell us, we are not going to tell anybody who you are.
Coy.
But you write in, because even if I'm not going to read it on this thing, I want to know.
Me too.
I get enjoyment out of that.
Send us the juicy gossip.
I love when I get moments alone with like planners and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, so. And they have so much time. I'm like, this is great.
How do you really feel?
Keep talking. Keep talking. Boy. All right, y'all. Well, that's Call Me Crying today. And I think that's all we got for you. So we'll call you next week, baby.
All right. Love y'all.
Bye.
Bye.